This is a Nevada-focused company. Disclaimer, you can find on our website. Please go to it, read it at your leisure. I will talk about share capital structure here. Firstly, shares out, a lot of shares. This has got to be one of the more, we'll say, large share counts you'll see in a junior mining company, about 590 million shares out. But the key is the company recently raised sufficient money to undertake this very robust, very aggressive drill program to go find an absolutely huge prize here right in the middle of north central Nevada. Okay, so current cash position is about 16 million Canadian, and that is absolutely critical because that's what we're going to use, that we have a lot of gas in the tank to go find this discovery. I'll talk more about some of the people involved towards the end of the presentation. The other groups involved. You can see here our management as well as directors include a lot of very well-known players in the mining industry. Alex Davidson is the chairman. Of course, he was with Barrick, executive vice president of Barrick. You got Roger Steiniger, who was actually the discoverer of the Pipeline deposit, which is one of the first mega deposits found in the Cortez region. But we also have Ed Cope, who was vice president of Nevada for Barrick for many years. And importantly here, Charles Weekly, geologist, absolutely brilliant guy. He knows this region. He was part of discoveries in this area over the past few decades. And he knows how to explore for this particular deposit type in Nevada. Little history of the company. Look, NuLegacy was founded a little over 10 years ago. I was actually an early shareholder when they first came online. The reason being, I believe in this property. I did what we call a palimpsestic reconstruction in north central Nevada many years ago to look at how the jigsaw puzzle in Nevada fits together. And I recognize that this particular block of ground is highly prospective for discovery. Because of that, I jumped in early. But look, the company, weathered through the down years. Part of the effort they had to undertake, believe it or not, was to extricate themselves out of the earn-in joint venture with Barrick. Okay, so the way they did that, effectively, they spent the required money they needed. Part of the reason the share count is what it is because it was hard to raise money back in the day, but they did it, and they got Barrick basically in a position where they felt more comfortable converting to shares. So now Barrick, as you saw in the previous slide, is a big shareholder. But it really put the company in a great position. It gave them 100% ownership over the property. Now, move forward a couple of years. You can see here they added many people from Barrick onto the team. There was a lot of transition kind of right at the end of the gold bust. And you know what? They were blessed because they were able to get some of the highest quality mines around the Cortez area inside a NuLegacy. And I think that's absolutely critical for making discovery here. These guys know what they're doing. Okay, and in that process, by bringing those people on, they started to rethink the stratigraphy, the basic fundamental architecture of the property, and they recognized the rift anticline gold system. This is the prize. This is where we think there is another major discovery in Nevada. And on the back of that, on the back of all this hard science, we then raised money. So back around May or June of last year, we raised a sum of money. We got our permits, I think in September, and we started drilling an aggressive deep drill hole program. We drilled 4 holes late last year. Now we're carrying on. We're going to start drilling the rest of that aggressive program very shortly. I believe in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to start. All righty. I can talk for hours about Nevada and its potential. I'll just give you a little history. Nevada is an area where gold mining companies have been made. If you look at Newmont's history and really their transformation back in the 80s from being kind of a copper producer, believe it or not, at Tsumeb, to becoming world foremost gold producer, it's on the back of what's found in Nevada, these Carlin type deposits. They are absolute elephants. Barrick was against the wall back in 1985, 86. They were trying to mine over at Mercury, Utah. They picked up this little piece of ground up in the northern part of the Carlin Trend called Gold Strike, and they made what is the biggest gold discovery in North America. And that, of course, propelled Barrick to where it is today. So this is where you go looking for elephants. Okay, so in this map, you can see the trends of gold deposits that are, perceived across Nevada. We got the Carlin Trend, which is this belt here. Most of the gold is within the Carlin Camp, which is in this gold circle right here. Over here, you have the Battle Mountain Trend. Sometimes it's called the Cortez Trend, but this is a very long trend of gold deposits. Again, most of the gold deposits in this region were found inside this yellow circle. That's where the bulk of the gold comes from. Now, the history of the Carlin Trend dates back 1961. Okay, John Livermore, famous geologist, recognized the potential here and found Carlin in the early 1960s. Okay, but there was a history that unfolded over the next 25 years, and it really culminated in the discovery of this deposit called Post Betsy, or Betsy Post here. That was the big discovery that really crystallized the Carlin Trend. It was 55 million ounces of gold. It was made in 1987. It took 26 years, we'll call it, from the discovery of Carlin to the discovery of Post Betsy, even though geographically they're very close to one another. Okay, these are not, they're big deposits, but they're not just jump up and, sticking out of the ground in many cases. It takes time and effort to find these things. Here in the Cortez area, there's been a series of discoveries from Pipeline down to Cortez Hills to Gold Rush, and now we are down here in this area, Red Hill property, and we're looking for the next big deposit. I bring the analogy that the history that took place up here in the Carlin area could be replicated down here in the Cortez area. I sincerely believe that this piece of ground has a potential to host, we'll call it the Post Betsy of the Cortez area. Okay, why do I say that? Well, look at the deposits that have been found and the dates. This kind of gives you a historic perspective on discovery. Here's Pipeline up here in the Northwest. This was found 1989, 21 million ounces of gold, open pit, 2.5 grams. Amazing discovery. Now, there were some little mines here called Cortez, but in 1999, Cortez Hills was discovered. It's right here, 15 million ounces, 4.1 gram. Amazing. Okay, fast forward. 2010, Gold Rush deposit, over 10 million ounces. I believe it's really closer to 15 million ounces. Very high grade, 10 gram per ton. Look at the trend that's forming. Okay, both a temporal trend and a spatial trend. Where are we? We're down here in this rift anticline target is just to the west of where most of the mining has occurred, or sorry, prospecting has occurred in this area. So we're now on the right track. What I think will be the next great discovery of the Cortez area. Here's a scenic view you can see over here on the right. There's Gold Rush. It's right across the valley. Okay, this is an extensional valley. It's been broken apart like a jigsaw puzzle. Why do I think there's so much potential here? It's easy. This thing broke apart. Half the deposit ended up over there, and I think the other half, the bigger prize perhaps, is over here underneath this rift anticline area. NuLegacy drilled the Serena zone and then the Iceberg zone, which is just off of this. And they hit very good gold. But that is where the big prize is. Now I'm going to show you why. Okay, here's a little bit of information about Gold Rush. Okay, this is what the drill pattern looks like at Gold Rush. And these little polka dots you see are actually grade expressed as ounces over the footage of core that was encountered, or footage of hole that was encountered. So it's ounce feet. Okay, it's a way for us to see the distribution of gold in the subsurface from hole to hole. So it's really, it's like making apples to apples. You can visually see where the gold is distributed. And notice that the Gold Rush deposit is along a long skinny corridor. It would be easy. Look at there's holes outside of here that don't hit much. Okay, and they're right up against holes that did hit huge numbers. Okay, that's the nature of these deposits. Everybody thinks, oh, this is easy peasy to go drill. It's not quite. Okay, you can literally be right next to a major pod like this. This North Gold Rush area, and not know it. Okay, but boy, when you start to see some sniffs in a hole, right, you got to take it seriously. As soon as you see sniffs in a hole, you got to take it seriously based on what you can see from this data, and that's what's critical here. we've already got 2 snips, okay? Okay, so here's a comparison of our rift anticline target. This corridor that transects, again, it's oriented kind of north-northwest, which is the same as the Gold Rush deposit. This is not where Gold Rush is. This is just superimposed on this image to show you the footprint of the Gold Rush deposit in comparison to our rift anticline target. Okay, over here, these are the areas where these black dots are. These are the areas where NuLegacy drilled previously, and they have some pretty good holes, holes that start to smell a lot like a major discovery. Okay, but geologically, we needed a large package of host rocks and some other ingredients to come together. I think what we're dealing with over here is kind of the sniffs, the smoke off of a bigger system. All right, so this rift anticline target easily has the ability spatially to host this kind of system. Plenty of room. Did great science. Okay, those after the guys from Barrick come in, did a lot of very good science, including this, which is CSAMT. It really elucidates the underlying geology of this area. You can see the volcanic cover. Yes, this is a blind target, but you can also see where the package of rocks are, the host rocks that host this type of mineralization. There was one hole drilled on the periphery here in 2018. It actually confirmed the presence of this Wind Band 5. And we also know down below, there's other host rocks too. Look, I work for Newmont, where guess what? The Roberts Mountain, which is below the Wind Band, is also an important host. So I always keep that in my mind whenever I look at data like this. Okay, so where did we drill? Last year, we drilled 4 holes. There's one here, and then one here, and one here. What did we get? We got some pretty darn strong sniffs. If you look back to our news release late last year, you can read about the alteration of highly anomalous gold that we encountered in hole 1, and that was within the Wind Band 5. But really interestingly, just recently we released results from hole 4. We had a 420-foot intercept of altered rock with grades up to 4 grams. That is a huge volume of rock that's been affected by fluids. Talk about a sniff, that is a very, very strong sniff. So think back to the image I showed of Gold Rush. That's how we're playing this game. We have found a system. We're probably within a few hundred meters of something bigger and better. We just have to drill, okay? It's that simple. Here's some cross-sectional views. Here's our target, okay? So we're going through the volcanics, which are these pink and red colors up here, and we're going down and testing the Wind Band sequence, and particularly this Wind Band 5, which is kind of the darker blue. So that's certainly one of our host rocks. But guess what? That interval of gold mineralization we saw in hole 4 is actually down in what's called the Roberts Mountain unit, which is below. And I'm actually more comfortable with Roberts Mountain because you see a lot of gold hosted in Roberts Mountain over in the Carlin Trend, where I did a lot of my work. So that doesn't bother me at all. You know what? It does not matter as long as you find a big system. I think we have already uncovered a big system. And this interval, 420 feet, and it was still in anomalous rock towards the end, is telling us something. We're in the right neighborhood. Okay, here's our drill plan. We have permits for many holes. We are drilling 16 as a first level commitment. We might put another couple holes on there. We do have the cash, but basically we're testing a big target area. Look at how big this is. It's about 6 kilometers along strike. We are looking for elephants. Okay, as soon as we find one of those really high ounce feet holes, everybody in the world will know it. Okay, there's a few footnotes here. These will be in the slide deck. People can read these. They reference some of the materials I presented. Again, people involved, high quality group, many expert people. I know these guys are some of the smartest brains in Nevada. They know how to explore. We are absolutely blessed to have this team in place. This is how you make discovery. You can also see the contacts over here. I'd urge people to contact our IR, contact me, contact Albert. Always happy to talk about this wonderful story. Thank you very much.